What's going on, Felters? It's time. Jet up, or more like jet down after that 2024 season. And we're going to talk about Reagan and Caleb's New York Jets. I've been looking forward to this one quite a bit, my friends. Hey, we're going to have to dive into what they should do this offseason. A lot of work to be done here right down the street from me in the Meadowlands. But, gentlemen, how are we doing tonight?
Fantastic, man. I don't know if I'm looking forward to this or not. It's kind of a shit storm over in the Meadowlands, unfortunately, but we're going to digest it and see what the move is. Reagan, how about you?
Yeah, man, I'm excited. We can shit on last year and just look forward to how we improve this team for next year. So the future is bright at Jet Life. I'm excited to talk about it. The Kings of New York will reign supreme in 2025. So we'll just, I'll just get right into it. I mean, we got an F this year. Okay. We got an
Damn
F.
straight.
Well, let's just start.
Does
Does anyone have anything other than an F?
No.
F.
I got an F as well.
If
all
I
right?
could give it lower than an F, I would.
Yeah, me too.
I almost brought out the F-. I've never brought it
Yeah,
out.
I mean, you might as well have gotten caught by the teacher cheating on your test. Now you're in detention. You're suspended. You might as well expend your.
You got kicked out of school. You're done.
Expel. You're out. You're out.
Yeah.
You're getting a job at 18. Not going at the dropout. You don't even know. Maybe you're going back in your 20s, 30s, getting your GED. Terrible, terrible season. From start to finish, we finally get Aaron Rodgers back. And, while his numbers maybe didn't look bad on paper, he just didn't look like himself. He looked like an old quarterback that was not fully recovered from his injury. I mean, the offensive line was a revolving door, as usual, as Jet fans know. Every time it looks like we have a promising young group. All the ones that play well get injured anyway. The running backs with, Breece Hall, yeah, he had a good season, but for what we hoped, not really. I mean, Braylon Allen was a nice bright spot, as well as Isaiah Davis. And the running backs, so really love that. And obviously Garrett Wilson was sick, and, bringing in Devontae Adams, he put up some big numbers, but, he'll be gone. He's not. Wins. Yeah, he'll be gone. And, defensively, just what a step back. That's what I think ultimately pissed me off. It really wasn't even the offense. It's just, last year it was like, look, this is a Super Bowl caliber defense. They just need a quarterback. Or I'm sorry, really last year and the past couple of years. And, couldn't stop the run. And then the secondary completely took a step back between Gardner and Reed, even though Reed will probably get paid handsomely in the market. I'm fine with letting him walk. But Caleb, let's hear why you give him an F.
Yeah, I mean, there's just problems from top to bottom in this organization, man. Like, I want to start at the top. The culture is just not there. Woody Johnson is a horrible, horrible owner. Like, he takes it upon himself to start these rumors with the media. Oh, we're going to bench Rodgers in the middle of the season. Well, of course, that's going to stir up the locker room. Everyone's going to not like that. Everyone's going to disagree with that shit. And, like, this team just had nothing to show for it. Like, you talked about Breece Hall. A lot of people were talking about Breece Hall as potentially, like, the top fantasy player, like, period, at the running back position. And, he wasn't even close, like, respectable, like 876 on the ground. That's not going to get it done. That's not going to get you in that conversation. However, I do like Braylon Allen a lot. I think he runs with a lot of heart. I think he's a big, tough guy, a lot of tough runs for him that I saw. But, man, I mean, the offensive line, for sure, the revolving door. And then behind the revolving door is a quarterback who, like you said, is recovering from an Achilles injury. Of course, he's not going to have that mobility. But did the Jets take any measures to shore up that O-line over the offseason? No, not really. And the players that they did bring in fell flat on their faces. So
they were old as hell.
Yeah, everyone's old, man. Like, I don't know how you expected Aaron Rodgers to get out of the way of all these pass rushers after coming off an injury like that. And he's towards the end of his career. Like, the O-line has to be solid if your quarterback's going to perform in this situation, especially when it's Aaron Rodgers.
And, hey, good news. I mean, Mekhi Becton, a guy who sucked, bust of a draft pick, he got a Super Bowl ring and rejuvenated his career. So that was cool, right? Might as well have gotten a ring. It certainly felt like it for me.
Yeah, I mean,
dude.
Him and Braden Mann. It certainly felt like it for me. Some terrible Jets players moving on to Philadelphia and really reviving their. Oh, and Bryce Huff too. I guess. Well, maybe it didn't work out for him, but
Was that the only positive for this Jets season was that Bryce Huff sucked? You didn't pay him a lot of money. I mean, you paid Reddick a lot of money, but at least he's gone now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
that was another mess.
honestly, you have to dig deep to find positives, like for real. I would say Garrett Wilson, 1,100 receiving yards. That's respectable. That's like a mediocre positive right there.
Will McDonald's the positive, I'd say.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Jermaine Johnson, pre-injury, of course, he got hurt because that's what happens to Jets players. But I think Jermaine Johnson was a positive before he got hurt.
Yeah, and then
Sherwood's definitely, I know he's set to hit the market, so I would imagine we'll re-sign him. He was a tackling machine this year, filling in for Mosley most of the season.
Yeah, and then
Guys,
I said, Braylon Allen.
Yeah, Braylon Allen, he was a positive too. Breece Hall was like fine, but it was certainly a step back from a season in which you saw what he did with Zach Wilson, and I know a lot of that was receiving. Like he had over 70 catches with Zach Wilson, but he still didn't run for 1,000 yards, and that's pretty tough. You know what I mean for a back that's getting as many touches as he is. So I mean, they were the 31st rush offense in football. That's not good. They were 24th in scoring. You look at the talent on paper, that should not have happened. And you mentioned it, Reagan. You look at Rodgers' stats, and in a vacuum, they looked solid, but they didn't translate to wins, and they just kept finding different ways to lose, which is weird because they were such a veteran team.
Greg Zuerlein, screw you.
Guys, don't worry. It was really cool, though, when Aaron Rodgers ran out of the tunnel with the American flag. That was really cool 2 years ago, and that was the highlight of the Aaron Rodgers New York Jet tenure. Literally, that was the highlight.
Yeah, that's about it. Maybe that.
No, his Hail Mary. Catch. His Hail Mary was sick. His Hail Mary at halftime was sick. Vintage Rodgers.
Yeah, but it wasn't even to win the game,
Yeah.
Yeah, but it still got me off my feet,
Yeah, but more people will talk about the run out of the tunnel than the Hail Mary. It was cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's 20. Yeah, it was lit. Just the whole thing was cool.
You guys touched on almost everything here,
but
you guys touched on almost everything here. But one thing I do want to mention is, can we all agree that they fired Robert Saleh a little prematurely?
Yes, I was saying that from the beginning.
I want to agree with that.
I don't think we should have brought him
back anyway.
Yeah, look what happened after. What would it have
though?
Changed? At least I think he had a better culture. I think he had a better culture.
I think you disrupted the culture. Even if the culture was sour, I think you disrupted it even more by firing him that early in the season, where guys were like, dude, we're just getting started. We can dig ourselves out of this little hole right now. What was it, week 4, week 5?
Week 5, 2 and 3.
You're 2 and 3.
You don't fucking lose in London. You don't embarrass the former ambassador of the UK in London. You just don't do it, Bob.
And then you went 3-9 after, right?
Dude, I
they
don't
didn't
even
buy
care,
Saleh
honestly.
a plane ticket home from London, bro.
To
That's
me,
crazy.
I don't think they would have made the playoffs with Saleh, but
we just got a better draft pick. Ultimately, it probably was a blessing in disguise. And at least now, hopefully, this is a learning experience for Woody, where he's like, hey, I'm going to stop being a dumbass and just hiring the wrong candidates. At least this time, Aaron Glenn seems like he may be the right candidate. He's a guy who wants to be there. He's not Adam Gase, who it's why in the fuck are we signing him? Or the other guys we've had, Todd Bowles even was suspect, but Aaron Glenn at least wants to be there. He was there in his career, an all-pro, so that gives me some promise going into next year.
But Reagan, let me ask you this: how many times have we said that over the past 14 years? This is a broken record. How many head coaches have they had over the past 14 years? 5 or 6 or something like that?
Yeah.
5?
Yeah. I mean, the only difference for me is just the fact that he actually probably had his choice of a couple different options and chose us, where other guys, I guess Saleh definitely had his choices, but Adam Gase, nobody else was touching him. I mean, Todd Bowles was an interesting one at the time. But yeah, this is the first one I've actually felt kind of excited about since Rex Ryan. And honestly, I was ready to go back with Rex just because that's the last time we were relevant.
Oh, he wanted it bad. He wanted it bad.
It's crazy we didn't go with him, dude. That would have flipped the culture on its head, I feel like, if we bring in Rex Ryan and fire up these guys. I don't know, man. Aaron Glenn, I hope for the best, but that's all you can do at this point is hope.
I think Aaron Glenn is a safer hire for sure.
Yeah, and it's nice that, to pair him with Steve Wilkes, a guy who's been a head coach in this league. He's actually been a guy who was one and done with Arizona. So I do like that pairing. A guy who's, been put in situations that aren't the best. So maybe Glenn can take some stuff away from him. And it's nice that it's like, yeah, he's a defensive coach, but he's bringing in a veteran DC to actually be it. So it seems like Aaron Glenn wants to take a similar approach to Dan Campbell, where he's going to hire his coordinators and let them be coordinators. And he's going to stick to being the head coach, where, we haven't seen that also in a couple different coaching cycles, because Saleh was calling the defensive calls when he came in. Gase was calling the offensive calls. Bowles was calling the defensive calls. So it's nice to have somebody that's going to be there and actually let their DC do their job, or their OC do their job.
Yeah, that is a fair point. You have to divide up the work, or else somebody's going to get overwhelmed. And I think we've seen that a couple times here.
You guys want to hop into the offseason now? Are we done talking about this garbage of a 2024 season?
Yeah, we can't change the grade. It can't go up. It can only go down.
It's capped out, the board. All right, the Jets have $24 million in cap space. It's a pretty solid number right here. They do have some key free agents. DJ Reed, it seems like he's on his way out. Hassan Reddick, certainly on his way out. Tyron Smith, Morgan Moses, they're certainly on their way out. I could see Tyler Conklin potentially coming back. Chuck Clark, probably not. So they're probably going to be looking for some outside help here. I kind of want to start with the draft, though, at pick number 7. I floated this idea out about a month ago, where I think the Jets could roll out Tyrod Taylor and take a quarterback on day 2 to sit behind him. And, I know you guys are pretty high on Jordan Travis. I'm not really sure why, but you kind of are, right?
Well,
I'm not really.
If he wasn't injured, he would have been, gone way earlier than he did. The dude got robbed, because if he doesn't get injured, FSU goes into the college football playoffs and he balls out, he's potentially a first-round pick.
I don't know if he would have been a first-round pick, but a day 2 pick, probably.
He lost. Yeah. That injury fucked him, though. That injury.
Yeah, it was a brutal injury. It was a brutal injury, too.
There's a lot of reasons to be high on him.
I know.
The potential's there, and he's a young guy that we're taking a shot on.
But I want to point out, rolling with Tyrod Taylor and Mel Kiper's most recent mock draft, the New York Jets take Shedeur Sanders at number 7. What are your thoughts on that, gentlemen? What are your thoughts on that?
I'm fine with it, because then we're not trading up. I'm okay with taking him at 7. I do not want to trade up to 1. I do not want to trade up to 2. And I certainly don't want to trade up with our crosstown rivals to 3, which I don't think you guys would anyway. But I'm fine with taking Shedeur at 7, because I feel like the value's there for it. And, I would think he's better than, Jordan Travis. At this point, we don't know what his health is.
He's better than Jordan Travis, dude. Yes.
And still, I don't want to roll out with Tyrod next year. What does that ultimately do for you? Maybe you sneak into the playoffs, and that's with a perfect storm happening. But what's the point? If that's your ceiling, is sneaking into the playoffs and being a first-round exit with Tyrod Taylor. I want to draft a young quarterback and just let him develop. So I'd rather, take Shedeur at 7 than watch a Tyrod Taylor experience all year.
Yeah, you might as well start fresh. That's kind of the symbol of this upcoming season, is to start fresh, especially with all of the coaching and front office changes. We could take Sanders at 7. I'd be okay with that. But I want to circle back to your mock draft that you did. You guys selected Mason Graham at 7. Can you remind the viewers and myself why you did that?
Mason Graham is a stud. A lot of very high up draft people that I respect a lot have Mason Graham in that kind of, if not the top tier of guys. I know Joel Klatt, it might be Joel Klatt, or it's Matt Miller. One of them has Mason Graham up with Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter. That's his top tier.
Okay.
Right?
That's where I had him.
And if he's not in that top tier, he's in that second tier. This guy is an absolute freak of nature. He dominates against the run. He takes on double teams.
Wow.
He's got a ton of juice as a pass rusher as well. The dude's a bully. He's a guaranteed good player, and his ceiling is all pro caliber. And when you put him next to Quinnen Williams with Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson, that's a very young and potentially dominant defensive line, which is
number 1 D-line in football.
I think Mason Graham is the number 1 target for the Jets at 7. I just have a hard time believing that he's going to fall past the Jaguars at 5.
Yeah.
I tend to agree with that. Stacking that D-line is definitely optimal, especially, I mean, we saw a little bit of kind of regression in Quinnen Williams this year. He might have just been having an off season. We'll have to see. But regardless, I would be okay with either of those two guys, Mason Graham or Shedeur Sanders, going at 7 for the Jets. Like I said, I just feel like it's such a wild card year coming up. We don't know what's going to happen. But I guess it's safe to set our expectations relatively low.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean,
yeah,
I don't see a world where whatever we do, we're not. Maybe that's the way to go. Is just like expect it to be bad, and maybe we'll get like surprised with the playoff berth.
Hey man, that's
I'm kind of there too.
That's what I took on.
No, don't compare your Giants' sorrows to anything of what we've gone through.
Yeah, I've seen a playoff win in the last couple of years.
You have no idea. That doesn't even matter.
valid.
Even if you didn't, you still have. You've seen. I mean, even if you were like still in diapers or whatever when the Giants won their Super Bowls, I know you were. You know,
I was the same fucking age as you, dude. Were you in diapers at 8?
No, but I also
were you in diapers at 8?
I wasn't wet in the bed till I was 8, like you, bro. Like I don't know.
You're just making shit up.
Nah, Drock still wets the beds.
Confirmed.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the pain we have gone through. I don't even know. I just hope that whatever we do, it's not trying to go out and get. I don't think we'd get Stafford, but I mean, I've heard Cousins' names floated around a little bit. I'm done with the veteran
I don't
route.
Want Cousins, bro.
Start the rebuild, whether that's with even if it's got to be Tyrod and maybe we take a quarterback in day 2, fine. And then it's like, all right, next year we're in another good spot to potentially draft a better quarterback for our future. That's fine. Just start the rebuild. Give Aaron Glenn the chance to really mold and model this team into how he wants. And
I think that's what's going to happen because Aaron Glenn came in, and I think they gave him the option. Do you want to run it back with Aaron Rodgers for another year? And, with the dead money and when you want to take that on, there's a reason they moved on now, was they can eat as much dead money now as they can so that they can kind of clean the slate and start a true rebuilding this team how they see fit. So I think Aaron Glenn taking that direction kind of affirms what you want. I think that's the route they are going to go.
The only thing that scares me I didn't like the fact that we brought our GM and Darren Mougey after we got Aaron Glenn. That was a little weird that it still happened like a week or two after. I would have liked them to come in at the same exact time. So it was like, that means Aaron Glenn's probably was like, they were probably like, who do you want? And he is saying it, which is nice, but it's also like,
who's actually the general manager in that position? Like this is a pattern that shitty NFL organizations go through. Like, why is the head coach picking the GM? Like it's literally the GM's job to run the freaking team.
I'm pretty sure I saw that the way the reporting structure was with Saleh was Saleh reported to Joe Douglas and then Joe Douglas to Woody Johnson, where now it's the head coach and GM both reporting straight to Woody Johnson, not Aaron Glenn reporting.
And Woody reports to Brick. So Brick's ultimately in charge.
Facts.
So, all right, what do you think they could attack in free agency here with $24 million cap space? What positions do you think they'll go after?
I definitely want them to re-sign Moses. I definitely want them to re-sign Sherwood for sure. You don't let Sherwood leave. And then with whatever little money we have left, I mean, I guess some may open up when we trade Devontae Adams, so that is nice. I mean, we'll probably have to eat some of that, but I would imagine, wherever we send them, like at most we're eating half of that. So that'll open up a little bit more. I would like to see them, go out and get a wide receiver to pair with Garrett Wilson. I don't hate the Hollywood Brown route. I mean, I also heard, one of the most consistent wide receivers is on the market right now in Darius Slayton. So I wouldn't hate that at all either.
I don't think you don't know what consistent means, bro. You don't know what consistent means.
Yes, we do. We've had 14 losing seasons. That's the definition of consistency.
Thank you, Caleb. Thank you, Caleb.
You're proving my point for me, Caleb. I appreciate that. Consistent doesn't mean good. Consistent means you do the same thing over and over and over.
Consistent means consistent.
Right. Yeah, when I think of consistently,
Caleb just proved my point for me, and you agreed to it, Bird Brain. You agreed.
The whole argument we were having is Colin said Darius Slayton is the most consistent wide receiver in the NFL.
That's not what I did not say that. I said he's the model of consistency. He's gonna give you 50 catches and 700 yards. And Reagan's like, whoa! What did you just say? And I'm like, do you know what consistent means? Do you know what consistent means?
I go, there's no way, bro. Just said Darius Slayton is the most consistent wide receiver. And Colin goes, are you a bird brain? I mean, are you a bird brain?
I didn't say he's
Good
the
sir,
most
are you
consistent
a
wide
bird
receiver.
brain?
I didn't say that. I didn't say he's the most consistent. I did not say that.
Anyway, when he's on the Jets next year, I'll decide, how I view him.
Yeah, we'll be the
how
judges.
Consistent he is. Odds are he'll
I can
probably
see Slayton.
become. Yeah, I could too. And, because a wide receiver is definitely, a position we need to attack. I mean, offensive line, I would like to bring back Moses, like I said. If we don't get Mason Graham, we got to get some beef boys in the middle. I mean, we need to get just a big Haas to just stop the run, because that was, to me, just so hard to watch week in and week out, just teams gashing us. So that would be my biggest concern outside of getting Sherwood back, would be getting a beef boy in the middle.
Now, I don't know how to pronounce this last name, but Levi Onwunazik. That's a crazy last name, from the Detroit Lions.
Sounds beefy.
According to PFF, they're considering him a top 3 interior defensive lineman on the market. With Aaron Glenn coming over, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of beef. So I'm all for it.
He was solid last year, so that's a lot of beef. He's not going to give you a ton of pass rushing juice, but I think
we don't need that. We have the pass rushing juice.
Yeah,
the pass rushing is not the issue.
We just need some meat in the middle. You know what I'm saying? Double M, meat in the middle.
Meat in the middle.
But 100%, and maybe get us a good kicker in free agency too. If we got to spend if we got to drop half
top
that
of the market.
I'm fine dropping at least 12 million of that 24 million on a kicker.
I mean, why don't one of us go out for the kicker? Like, Meadowlands is right nearby. We could probably do better than Greg Zuerlein.
Bro, give me George Eberle, undrafted free agent. I'm fine with that in New Mexico State.
Hey, Justin Tucker might be available soon.
Not funny, bro.
All right, pause. All right, let's get Jock in here for some questions.
Also, we talked about I believe the Jets training staff was one of the worst, so I don't know if he'd like that.
Oh, really? You really can't connect the dots there. All their fucking injuries.
All right, Drock's consistent questions for tonight. It's going to consist of this first consistency question. Did the Jets make a mistake by going all in on Rodgers instead of drafting and developing a young quarterback?
I don't think so.
You go first.
I don't think so, because, I mean, hypothetically, on paper, this was a great move and everybody got excited about it. It just didn't work out like that. The injury, of course, a freak injury right at the beginning of the season, 4 snaps in, nothing you can do about that. I just think it's wild that we got 7 wins in 2023 and only 5 in 2024, but it was worth a shot. It really was. And of course, Rodgers towards the end of his career, but he did throw for 3,800 yards. He wasn't the only reason why we only got 5 wins this year. I'm okay with it, but I'm more than happy that it's over and done with.
Yeah, hindsight's 2020, man. You had to take that shot. Rodgers just won back-to-back MVPs, right before you did get him, 2 years prior. You had a team that was ready to win. You had a young defense that was the top of the league. Hindsight's 2020. You had to take that shot. You thought you were going to be a more competitive team. It didn't work out. You move on.
And here's the thing. The Jets are experts at doing less with more. And that's what we saw this year. This is the definition of doing less with more. You had all the pieces this year, and we went 5-12, bro. Don't even get me started.
Yeah, and that's one thing, I will say about Woody Johnson. He fully went all in. So at the end of the day, you can't be mad at him for that decision. There were some decisions that went into it that you're like, all right, that's head scratching. But at the end of the day, he went in, got Rodgers, went out and got Devontae Adams. They did what the fan base wanted and went out and got those big names. And it's just the same old Jets. And also, I feel like it will be a big what if is, if he doesn't tear his Achilles, what would that season look like? Because the defense was, in fact, sick that year, where obviously it took back a major step this year. So to me, that's probably the biggest what if in sports. Yeah, I guess no debate on that.
It could be. It could be. It's definitely up there.
Yeah, I can't think of any different one that at least matters to me as a Jet fan. So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't got much more to say. I'm excited for the draft in 2025. Caleb, you got anything else to say about our awesome team?
Yeah, not a whole lot, man. I mean, it's just been It just felt like this season was over on like, I don't know, week 7. And, it's just that tough feeling, that hard feeling of just knowing that your team's doing nothing again this year when you have all the pieces. Like, it's a rough life, man. We've gone 82 and 146 in the past 14 seasons. Like that's not a good look. Average of 5.8 wins per year. And again,
yeah.
how are these guys making money as a professional sports franchise? That's my question. Like, at what point does everyone just say, fuck this shit, we're boycotting the team, nobody's going to the games? But of course we'll never do that because
Well, yeah,
we're Jets fans.
Yeah, dumbasses like me buying jerseys every year, getting squads to go to like 2 or 3 games a year. It's like, I just can't do it. I just can't do it.
At heart, we're Jets fans, and we're gonna fly with this shit until it crashes and burns for the 15th straight year.
I just hope, they win. I hope they win at a point where I can go and, party at the parade. Like when they finally win that Super Bowl. Like I want to be, in a good spot to do it. So maybe like next year, I'd really like that.
Next year, yeah, that sounds like a good year.
Yeah.
Damn, guys. You're talking all this shit about your team, low expectations, and now you're talking Super Bowl.
And that's the
Let's not do
delusion
this
of a
again.
Jets fan,
Mind
baby.
of a Jets fan right there.
Hey, at least when we do the preseason prediction pod coming up in August, we won't have Reagan having his Jets winning the Super Bowl this time around.
Yeah, it'll probably just be my Eagles.
All right, Anderson.
He's adopting the Eagles, dude. Don't be another Anderson, dude. I can't deal with it. I can't deal with it. But if there's any consolation prize here, guys, it's kind of funny for me that this entire time and talking shit on the Jets, but I did genuinely feel bad for Jets fans this season. Like with all the
we don't want your pity, bro. So keep it to yourself.
Yeah, we're strong, bro. We're strong.
I did genuinely feel bad for you guys. So if that's anything,
I don't want your pity. It means nothing. Keep it to yourself. We don't want it. Okay, we don't want your pity.
That's fine. Well, that wraps up our Jets 2024 season recap and 2025 offseason outlook. Caleb, appreciate you joining us, my friends. It was a great time.
Yeah, Jets fans, let us know what you want us to do. Where are you
hit
guys
our comments. We need more hit our comments. God damn it.
Let us know about the sad boy hours.
Jet fans, I want to hear what mixture of emotions you're feeling right now, what the outlook looks like for you, and how you can possibly move forward as a fan of this team. Let us know in the comments.